So let's get into the top 5 programs that I'm currently working with and connecting people with for funding to purchase homes with just a couple $1,000s out of pocket. The first one, this is for people that are looking in rural areas, okay? After all the cities that went through, doesn't sound like there's too many, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but there is a program called Rural Development. It's available in rural areas. It's through the United States Department of Agriculture. They will allow you to buy with no money down. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. Very flexible on credit. Actually, we're getting credit done down to 580 right now. There are some restrictions for income. Income limits need to be below 130,000. If you've got several people in the household, they'll allow you to go up to 170. So very generous on that side. The loan limits, I think, are now in excess of 400,000. Very low mortgage factor, or the equivalent of a mortgage factor, at 0.35. And their debt to income ratios are becoming more flexible too. So rural development is a lot easier now than it was a couple of years ago. Number 4 on my list, VA loans. Love veterans. If there's any veterans out there, thank you very much for your service. If it wasn't for the fact that you had to be a veteran to get a VA loan, this would be my number 1 program. You can buy a house with no money down. There's no mortgage insurance. I mean, technically, VA has no credit score requirements. It's just that a lot of lenders have overlays, and they will not, they're just not allowed to finance people below a certain threshold. So I know a lot of banks won't do them below 620 or 600. I like Flagstar because they actually, I think I've got one down to 580 on a VA with them. So very flexible on that side. Very lenient with the loan limits, the closing fees, everything can be paid by the seller. VA is one of the only ways I'm aware of where you can truly buy a house with zero money out of pocket. So great benefit for veterans. Thank you very much, veterans. Number 3 on my list, Honest Mortgage has a new program that just came out. They're only requiring a 580 credit score. It's designed for moderate to low income areas, and you have to be a first-time home buyer or be a public servant. One of those 2 things, and you can qualify for a 2% forgivable or 3.5% grant. Okay, good product. Haven't experienced this one yet from start to finish, but it's one of those ones that just recently hit my radar. Number 2 is through First State Bank. They have a program that they call their Open Door Mortgage Grant. They'll give $7,500 in down payment assistance that can actually be used for your down payment, and whatever's left over can be used for your closing costs. You have to purchase in a low to moderate income area. You have to be a first-time home buyer. Credit scores have to be above a 600. You have to have 12 months consecutive on-time payments with all of your credit in order to qualify for this one. Excluding medical. If you've got medical bills, debts, or collections, they don't count that. Okay, and you also need 12 months continuous employment to qualify for this one. Their debt to income ratios go up to 46%. I got to work on my spelling for lower there. A home buyer education course is required, and there are some income restrictions. So you need to comply with the low to moderate income tables that are advertised or posted for each area that you're purchasing in. Okay, so nice program through First State Bank. My number 1 program that I like to work with is actually through Flagstar Bank. So Flagstar has a program that I've been doing for about 7 years. It's their Destination Home. By far and away, the easiest program to get qualified for, in my opinion. It's a no money down program. So it doesn't give you any money, but there's a lot of bells and whistles that goes along with it. Number 1, it's a conventional product. Now, when it comes to making offers on houses, conventional loans are typically for people with grade A income, grade A assets, and grade A credit. Okay, so when we submit an offer to a seller with no money down, conventional, most seasoned agents are going to think you must walk on financial water to get a zero down conventional loan. They have no idea it's this special grant program through Flagstar. So it has no mortgage insurance, so it's going to keep your payments quite low. Does require a minimum credit score of 600. I've actually got people approved on this with no credit scores. Now for that, we need to have some alternative trade lines, and I go over what alternative trade lines are in my credit webinar. So please make sure that you sign up for that if you have any questions. They also allow the seller to pay up to 4% of the sale price towards your closing costs. They do have debt to income ratios of 45% and everything else applies. You do have to purchase in a low to moderate income area. Now, this is a great program for any first-time home buyers that are like wannabe investors. They can do multi-unit properties on this. I've actually done a duplex on this. I don't know if you can go more than 2 units on it. I don't know. Ben, can you do more than 2 units on that program? Let me see here.
I believe it stops at 2.
Stops at 2.
Own the roof. Why rent when you can